I'm Steven Jondrew.
I'm Chris Farrell.
And I'm Steve Boyd, and we're the hosts of Walking the Walking Dead,
a podcast member of the GonnaGeek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual.
Check out other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Now get ready, because geekiness begins in 3,
2,
1.
You're listening to Crimson Comet, a fan podcast about the TV show dedicated to the Scarlet Speedster himself, CW's The Flash. Welcome to Episode 7 of Crimson Comet. This week we'll be discussing The Flash, Season 1, Episode 6, The Flash is Born. I'm your host, Haley, aka Awesome Engineering Girl.
I'm John, aka Lobster.
And I'm Will, a.k.a. Rum Daddy.
If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can find all of our information on our website at crimsoncometpodcast.com. You can find us on Twitter at Crimson Podcast and on Facebook, Crimson Comet Podcast.
Hey, do we have a voicemail?
We do. It's 423-FLASH-53. It's 423-352-7453. And we also have forums available, forums.gonnageek.com, or you can find them by searching for GonnaGeek on the Tapatalk app, and that's all one word.
I just like saying tapatalk. Tapatalk.
I say it wrong half the time.
Tapas, tapatalk.
Tapas Talk. That's our Spanish food podcast.
The Spanish Flash, El Flasho.
We did get a little bit of feedback this week. On Twitter, the official Flash account put out that there's more to Snow than meets the eye, and it's a little bio on Caitlin Snow. Tom A. said, unlike Iris, Caitlin is an interesting character that has some depth to her.
Oh, that's a slam.
I know.
Disagree.
I do too. Then Starpie said, a lot of anger in Caitlin, though.
I'm digging Caitlin.
I love Iris, though.
I love Iris so much.
Yeah, but they gotta
like
give
Caitlin,
her more.
but I like Iris better.
Even
No,
more
they
in
gotta
this
give
episode.
Iris more.
They're getting there.
Okay, was it me or was Iris pretty much Lois Lane in this episode?
Yes.
Like
That's exactly
Yeah,
what she
Lois
is.
Lane never punched the villain out.
No,
True.
well, I mean, it's 2014. It was.
I don't
one
think she
punch.
ever beat up Superman either.
Oh, she did emotionally. But that whole scene where she was asking him, I'm like, wait a minute, that was the exact same scene on the rooftop from the Christopher Reeve Superman movie, except he didn't tell her what color underwear she was wearing.
Because he already stole it.
Mm-hmm.
When he ran her up to the roof, she's like, wait, what happened to my thong? That was gone. That's gross. I'm sure he didn't do that, but he could if he wanted.
Do you know what they call a thong in Spanish? Floss.
Nice.
Oh.
They do. All right. Did we get any voicemail?
Yeah, our listener Adam called in and left us a little voice feedback.
We love Adam.
We do love Adam because he talks to us.
Adam.
Hey guys, this is Adam. Just a couple quick responses to your latest podcast. You mixed up the Adam, Ray Palmer, who is on Arrow, with Captain Adam, who was the inspiration for Dr. Manhattan. And, well, by the time you guys get to the next episode, Haley probably will have seen him on Justice League Unlimited as well. So that was one of the things. And then, secondly, you guys were talking about the geography of the DC universe. Well, they have been known to change that for TV shows and movies before to separate it from what's in the comic. For example, in Smallville, rather than having Metropolis be for the New York equivalent, they moved it down to like Kansas City so they could justify having it in the show. And I think they've probably done, it looks like they've done the same thing for Central City in the current shows, because they mentioned in the pilot that it's about 600 miles from Starling City, which I think is probably between Portland and Seattle based on some references they've made to how far it is from Las Vegas. So I think this Central City is probably San Francisco, like you guys suggested. Talk to you later. Bye.
Always good to hear from Adam.
Yes, the geography lesson continues.
Adam's like our fourth podcaster at this point. So it's pretty great to hear from him. But I have to disagree because it's Central City. It has to be located in the center of the country.
It has to be in the center of something.
Yeah.
Right, I think they just decided to put like a big giant lake or something in Kansas.
Sure, why not?
I still think it's the river, because when they talk about going to Keystone, West Keystone is east of Central City. So I think that if you're looking at the map, Central City's on the left, Keystone's on the right. There's a river in between.
I did like that they dropped Keystone, and that was a deep cut, which is pretty cool.
Keystone Cops.
That's not where they came from.
Oh well.
I bet Keystone has cops. It's a pretty big city.
I think
sure
that's
they
where
do.
what's-his-name used to work, right? Pretty Boy Cop. I don't think I'll ever remember his name, even though they keep showing it on the stupid cell phone.
I always forget his name. To me, you're right. He's Detective Pretty Boy.
He's Eddie Thrawn or something like that.
Who remembers a
I
name
think it's
like that?
Thrawn. Thrawn is Star Wars.
Okay.
Right.
Eddie Thawne.
Thong. Thong.
Floss.
But, I still can't decide. Is he a douche or is he actually sincere about trying to be friends with Barry?
See, I think we're expecting him to be a douche just because he's like the rival suitor.
Right.
But he's been a nice guy in everything we've seen so far of him.
Like a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants the friend who's going to take off his shirt, lean over, and go, harder, harder, harder.
Yeah, I like that.
Right? We had some people on the forums this week talking about Eddie and Wells and which one of them they think is going to be the Reverse Flash. So Steven, Scott the Hockey Die, and Gamer Sith were all talking about this and who they think is going to end up being the Reverse Flash.
I think it's Wells.
I think that's what they're setting up in the show right now, but in the comics, a guy named Thawne is who became the Reverse Flash.
Well, Wells knows. If it's not him, he knows who the Reverse Flash is going to be. He knows that individual.
He knows a lot that he's not sharing.
Yeah, we still don't know what. Although I did really love the confrontation this week between him and Joe at the bar.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep doing this, but I've got notes about that confrontation, so we'll move on with the feedback.
So we also got feedback from Scope Pound on Twitter. He shared with us an article from Screen Rant that was talking about an interview that Greg Berlanti did with TV Line. So we went ahead and got the whole interview from TV Line. That's what we're going to talk about first in our news segment. So Greg Berlanti did his interview. He was asked directly if Flash is going to tell Iris who he is or that he loves her. And he said one of those things is going to be revealed soon.
I think it's the love thing.
Yeah.
Really, at the end of this episode, I thought he was going to tell her who he was. That last scene in the coffee shop.
Do we want to revisit that old Superman trope with Lois Lane, the love triangle or the love quadrangle? Because she's in love with the superhero, Flash or Superman, but the alter ego, which would be Barry or Clark Kent, is in love with her, but she's not giving him the time of day. And yet there's this other suitor that's in love with her and she's carrying on a relationship with, but she obviously is in love with the superhero. So that's that whole Lois Lane crap. And I think that we've evolved beyond, as far as comic book viewers, readers, that we've evolved beyond that trope.
I don't know if she's in love with the superhero as much as she's excited about what he represents. I didn't really get that vibe. I haven't gotten that vibe yet from Iris, that she is kind of in love with the streak.
Maybe not in love, but fascinated with him.
Yeah, she
definitely
admires
fascinated.
him.
Yeah, definitely fascinated, definitely interested.
But I don't think it's a romantic attraction or anything at this point.
And if anything,
Yeah.
maybe she sees in him what she likes about Barry. I don't know.
True.
And there's only so much that Barry could hide who he is being backlit. I mean, it's only going to last so long.
Because she's not an idiot.
No.
She's going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the same article, he was asked about the Grodd references they've had so far in the show, and are you going to do more with that? And Berlanti said, yes, they plan to do more with it, but they've got to get the technology right so that it's not silly. Because what they did in the last episode is they put a stunt guy in a gorilla suit and then just kept it really dark.
Yeah, out of focus, right?
Mhm.
I don't know if they'll have anywhere near the level of technology that they've had for like the new Planet of the Apes films.
Right.
I imagine that that's pretty expensive to do on a regular basis, but it would be cool.
Well, it's expensive because it takes a lot of time. So you're
Right.
hiring manpower to follow the dots.
I wonder if what they'll end up doing a lot is just have this voice coming from off screen, and they're not going to have him move around a lot.
I like the idea of the mind control.
Yeah.
And maybe he doesn't know that it's a gorilla that's controlling his mind or controlling people's minds. If it's just a
Right.
disembodied voice, could be anyone.
And then he was also asked about the Flash's powers and if those are going to continue developing. And he was like, oh, yeah, sure. And then the interviewer asked specifically, well, what about time travel? And Greg Berlanti said that's something they're going to deal with this winter. And I'm kind of betting that that's going to be the mid-season finale if they say that they're going to deal with it directly.
Time
Oh, yeah.
travel.
With Reverse Flash. And
Yes.
yes, it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, he also mentioned that the Flash can famously phase through things.
Right.
And that's something we haven't seen him do yet.
He vibrates
Cool.
really, really, really fast. He can just get
Like
inside
we've talked
of
about
things.
before.
Hello, ladies.
Hello. Zzz. That's the sound he makes when he vibrates really fast. Zzz.
There's also talk about doing another crossover in the second half of the season. They said that they're planning to do it, but since The Flash didn't get its official pickup for the back half of the season until October, they haven't really started working on the back half of this season yet.
Well, it's getting really great numbers, and people
Yes.
are enjoying it quite a bit.
Yeah. And I think they're going to wait and see how this crossover event that's coming up in a couple weeks plays out. I think it's going to be huge.
I think it's going to do really well.
And a lot of fall shows are going on hiatus already. So December's wide open, and they're just going to kill with those two back to back. And I don't know how much they take into account the numbers on Hulu and stuff like that, but that's how I watch the show. I mean, I watched it like an hour before we started recording, and it's just so convenient to watch it. And then it's just like, okay, do you want to watch Arrow? Here you go. And it's like, boom, watch the next one. So I think it's going to be really big. And I can't think of... I mean, shows have kind of done this, like CSI did, like a crossover, NCIS did a crossover or something like that. But in true comic book fashion, they are doing an actual comic book crossover, which I think is very, very cool.
Yeah, well, speaking of the crossover, they've released a bunch of photos from that event that's supposed to be coming up. We've got Barry catching an arrow. We've got both teams down in the Flash cave. And then there's a few, like, behind-the-scenes photos, and then a few of them with the Flash and the Arrow out on the street together.
Two guys hanging out in costumes. Nothing odd about that.
Just hanging out in our leather, like you do.
Hey, like
Yeah.
you do. One's green,
What's not to like about that?
one's red. It's
It
all
is
good.
Christmas season.
Oh, and
I see what you did there.
and the boomerang guy who's going to show up.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the villain
Yeah.
for the upcoming crossover.
And he was on Spartacus.
Oh, Asher.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
There's also a synopsis for that upcoming episode, and it looks like the Flash is going to have his brain messed with a little bit, and that's going to be what sets off the Flash versus Arrow fight.
Oh, God. There's that photo of the two of them next to each other, and standing next to Stephen Amell, he is so skinny. He's so thin standing next to Amell, who's just all buffed up.
So excited about this crossover. I can't even tell you.
Well, you get to see Felicity talk to both of them.
Oh, Felicity.
I love Felicity.
Talking about a love triangle, good grief.
Oh, yeah.
Between me and Felicity and Iris. Oh, wait. No. Oh,
I think Felicity goes for guys with abs that can do the salmon ladder. She has a type.
yeah. That's probably not me.
Now, we don't know if Barry could do the ladder.
I bet he could. He could use the Speed Force to, like...
He could totally do the ladder.
Yeah.
That's true.
He punched the sand out of that punching bag. He could do the ladder.
That was
The
pretty
seam
awesome.
must have been busted or
the
something.
seam was coming loose. Oh. All right, shall we dive into the messy, messy birth of the Flash?
Yes.
Try not to...
Viscera and all. Let's
Because
get
then
to it.
afterwards, we'll be talking about the afterbirth.
Ooh,
Oh.
Oh.
muzzle tov. All right, where do we want to begin with this?
Let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about Iris doing the introduction, her VO instead of Barry's.
Loved it.
I think that actually works better than Barry because it's like she's doing her blog post
Yeah.
and you're just hearing her talk about
Well,
it.
it's exactly what she was doing. She was typing her blog post.
Yeah, but she was using the exact same words that he used in the first episode.
At the end, she did.
Right, he was reading her blog.
Oh, you think that's
No,
what it
at the
was?
beginning.
In the first episode, he was reading her blog.
Right, he went back in time,
Okay.
read her blog.
Went
Yeah.
No, because he's
forward in time.
because in the first episode it starts with him saying "believe the impossible," and she says the same thing when she starts the show.
They all say believe the impossible.
It's probably because they have the same writer.
True.
Okay, so he speed reads it. Does he have like an alert set up for every time she posts
He
something?
has an Iris West Google alert for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just double checking.
I mean, so do I. So, of course.
He's not creeping at all.
No, not at all.
So then he shows up. He doesn't even say hi before he zips her up to the roof.
He just, kidnaps her a little bit.
Yeah, just a little. And then they have some words, and he uses his hummy voice.
Right, and that's why it started reminding me of Lois Lane interviewing Superman, because they were
Yeah.
up on a rooftop, just like in her Manhattan condo that she was up on a rooftop interview.
Where else do superheroes hang out other than rooftops?
Yep. He's got to find a shadowy place to talk to her.
Yeah.
Sewers, if you're a turtle.
But is it just me, or does he act like super Barry-ish when he's trying to be all secretive around her?
I don't think he can not be Barry. I don't think he
Right.
has an alter ego yet. I mean, Oliver Queen, when he was doing the arrow thing, he was all like growly and you have failed the city. Barry doesn't have any of that.
He's Barry in red leather.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that she's going to discover who he really is before he tells her that he loves her.
She's going to figure it out. Actually, I think Eddie might figure it out first, and then she's going to figure it out.
That would be a shame because then she's just going to be the dumb girl who's going to be the last one in the city to figure it out. I'd hate to see that happen.
So maybe she will figure it out first. I don't know. But if he's going to use his powers right in front of Eddie, Eddie's going to figure it out.
I think Eddie already kind of, unless he's really, really stupid, he's going to get it figured out.
He's pretty. He doesn't have to be smart.
Right.
Exactly.
Or he won't have it figured out even when he gets his own superpowers. He'll be like, wait, who's that guy?
I think she's going to figure it out because, he acts like Barry every time he's around her. But then when he's fighting his childhood bully, he says, bully then, bully now. Dude, she knows he was your bully.
I love how they all wanted to go and find their bullies.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do with superpowers?
Exactly. I would.
Get back at bullies and old bad bosses.
Did we all have bullies? I think everybody had a bully
Yep.
in high school or junior high or something. Except for Haley, because Haley was the bully.
She was.
Well,
She was. She
She
still
was
makes
I
me.
went to a really small school. There weren't enough people to be bullies.
Haley still makes me give her my lunch money.
So then this guy shows up. Of course he's going to be a total douche because he's driving a Hummer. And in 2014, who still drives Hummers?
Well, he stole it, so
He stole it.
People that bought them in 2001 and can't get rid of them now.
it's in the impound lot.
And it's a yellow one.
I see black Hummers and I see yellow ones, and that's it.
Yeah, I know. I see a blue one every once in a while.
I mean, I've seen red ones, but it's been a while. I see a lot of yellow ones.
Oh, I live in LA, and whenever I see a Hummer, everyone just looks at it with total disdain.
Like, dude, what the fuck? Seriously?
Isn't it always Arnold Schwarzenegger, too?
No, but I do have a story about that. I was riding because I used to cycle a lot, and I would cycle down at that part of town, and he almost hit me with his Hummer one time because I was just going along the street, and he was coming out of another street. I should have just let him hit me.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could've
imagine
gotten
how
that
much money you'd have.
Get that money. Get that Terminator money.
Right?
Oh, I slipped on my steps coming into my house the other day, and I was like, man, I wish I'd fallen at work. So much money.
Yeah, but then you're missing a limb. You have to end up in the hospital. It's a pain in the ass.
Priorities,
It
dude.
could be a literal pain in the ass if you broke your coccyx.
Which
said
I
coccyx.
bruised mine before.
Yeah.
So that hurts.
Very painful.
You know what else is painful?
What?
Punching a guy that's made out of metal.
No, he's the Man of Steel. How was that drop?
No, he's Colossus. Come on.
I was thinking it's unfortunate that they did that this season right after Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did The Absorbing Man.
Well, it
I
seems like
thought of the exact same thing.
all of these shows are kind of copying each other a little bit. Once you're in comic book territory, there's only so many superpowers you can do, right?
Right.
And Heroes is going to come back in the spring. They're going to do like another season. So we're going to see some of that stuff show up again. They did a speedster in that show. And then we talked about how the same guy, the fart man on Flash, shows up on Gotham playing another character. So they're just going to keep recycling powers, actors. It's all just going to be one big loop.
I don't know. As long as they do it well every time, it doesn't really bother me that it's similar.
He kind of looked like the Absorbing Man, too, this guy.
It did. In the way that his body would change into steel, it looked like the Absorbing Man.
And how he was like super muscular and stuff.
I did notice.
When you're that muscular, you can really only walk like a certain way.
Like a tool.
There was nothing not douchey about the guy at all.
Oh, I know. Especially when he was in the coffee shop. I was like, oh, what a colossal douchebag.
And what the hell was that about? Crushing her phone?
Because she was getting ready to call her cop dad or cop boyfriend or something.
Like everybody else in the coffee shop doesn't have a fucking cell phone that they could.
Or there's not a landline or something.
Yeah.
Well, he had to show you what a douche he could be.
And, oh, by the way, he turns into metal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't mess with me, because I'm the metal guy.
Girder.
So then there's a little kid that the Flash saves and carries him off. And then Joe does the exact same thing to Officer Pretty Boy.
Because Officer Pretty Boy just stares at oncoming
It's like,
Humvees
what?
whatever.
No, it's coming
Why
right at
did he
me.
stop? His eyesight's good enough that he can see the bullet bounce off the guy's metal face, but he can't see the actual vehicle coming at him.
Actually, I wonder what's going to happen is if Iris and Eddie start doing, like, meta investigations together.
Like the X-Files.
Yeah, exactly.
With
I haven't seen the
flashlights.
X-Files.
Flashlights.
You have to stop.
Oh, flashlight.
Flashlights.
What?
See what I did there?
I see.
Okay, so Joe taught Barry how to box when he was a kid.
No, he taught Iris how to box,
Well,
and then she
he tried to
kicked his
teach
ass.
Barry how to
And
box.
Barry was a big poussoir.
But is that the only boxing lesson Joe gave him? Was like, okay, this one time, 5 minutes in the park.
Yeah,
You're good now.
That was it.
Apparently.
So he doesn't actually teach the kid how to box. Just one time, put some gloves on him.
Anytime that a boxing lesson ends with, you can run away, right? Like, that's not a good boxing lesson.
Know your audience. It's about understanding your student.
Yeah, and who's watching this? Okay. Just saying.
Iris kicks ass.
Iris,
She
well,
does.
yeah, obviously. Even as a little girl, she does.
Which is weird because they were doing boxing on Gotham this week. Alfred was teaching Bruce how to box.
To deal with a bully.
Right, that's what it was.
Yep.
There was a whole bully situation on Gotham
Yeah.
and
See,
on Flash.
Now plots are getting recycled.
Well, and last week, was it that the Arrow shot a boxing glove at a guy?
Yes.
That
It's a
was
theme.
right out of the
Yes.
comic book.
Yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic.
That
Alright.
was right out of a comic.
See
That
what I
was
mean, though?
hysterical.
Like, everything just gets recycled on these shows. Because, again, they're all drawing on the same source material. So, of course, stuff
I mean,
is
there's
going to play
certain
back
tropes.
and forth. Yeah.
In comic books, like the kid was bullied and then gets superpowers. It's a thing that happens.
Now, I have a question for you guys because there's so much going on. There's so much talk about all the Marvel movies and the DC movies. And right now on TV, we have Gotham, Arrow, and The Flash, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and all the tie-ins. And then we're going to be getting Heroes is coming in the spring, coming back, and CBS is working on Wonder Woman. At what point do you guys think the tipping point will reach the tipping point where America and our culture will start getting tired of the superhero genre and move into something else?
Well, I think CBS is working on Supergirl.
Okay, yeah, you're right, Supergirl.
But there's a year coming up, I think it was 2017, when there's like 10 superhero movies scheduled to come out.
Right.
That's probably going to be about it. I honestly think when we get to the end of the slate that Marvel has out there, that's going to be about when people are burnt out on it.
I think it's going to be before then. I think by the time 2017 happens, people are just going to be like, enough, we're done.
I think if it depends on how they react to the first big flop. That's what's going to make the difference. Like if a show bombs, but I mean, we've seen superhero shows fail before and they haven't stopped trying. Like Heroes failed. I mean, it ran for 4 seasons, but not great seasons.
Right. One good one and then 2.5 bad
No
ones.
Ordinary Family failed. The Cape failed. These are all shows that, ostensibly have superhero or comic book leanings.
But they weren't done right. They were bad.
Right. So, I mean, it just depends. Like, if they keep doing it well, I think people are going to watch it. But, I mean, you could say the same thing about CSI crime procedurals.
No, because the people who watch CSI and those crime procedurals,
they watch all of them.
They watch all of them. They don't lose interest. They just die off because they're all in their 80s.
And they're replaced by new retirees every year.
And they're replaced by new retirees. Exactly. My example is the whole vampire genre. I think we've reached critical mass with the vampire genre a couple years ago. I think Twilight was the tipping point where everybody was,
it was
like,
the nail in the coffin.
But even so, I mean, there was Twilight, there was True Blood, and Vampire Diaries. There weren't that many like major vampire franchises. I mean, you had like Underworld would show up.
Well, really, it was like the urban fantasy genre more than just vampires. Like there was a lot of werewolves, a lot of vampires, a lot of zombies.
I think
we had a lot leading up to that. We had Buffy and Vampire Diaries and all this other stuff leading up. Charmed. So we got to a point where when the superhero genre came in, it pulled focus and everyone was like, something fresh and new and different.
Well, I think it just depends on how it's done, because if you look at even comparing Flash and Arrow, which are by the same creators, they're very different shows. And so if Arrow's not really your thing, maybe you do enjoy Flash. And if Gotham's not really your thing because there's no one really running around in tights, maybe, you like Arrow and Flash. And I think it just depends. As long as they're not crossing the streams too much, then I think it can actually work. Because if they're drawing sort of different audiences, but enough of the same audiences to stay on the air, do you know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously, anyone who's trying to watch all of these shows is going to get sort of overloaded. Or maybe it's really your thing. Like you just want to watch comic book shows all the time.
Well, and the same thing with the movies. I honestly don't think that all of the franchises that are existing right now are going to be successful in the next couple of years and are going to have sequels. Like I kind of think Spider-Man is going to have to take a break soon. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be able to do the whole slate of movies that they've been talking about.
They're not going to do the Aunt May solo film that they've been talking about? Please.
They actually have 2 movies scheduled that are been talking about to come out in 2017, like the female Spider movie and I think the Sinister Six movie are both scheduled for 2017. I don't think at least one of those isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Probably both of them at this point.
And don't forget, at this same time that we're cranking out all these comic book movies, I don't know, they're making Star Wars movies, they're making Star Trek movies, they're making every other thing.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up earlier, that all these big budget, space and superhero and these genre movies, all these really big budget genre movies are all coming out the same years, are all coming out together. And there's only so much of that I think as a culture, we're going to end up hitting a tipping point before somebody's going to say, when's the next Woody Allen movie?
Well, and there's only so much money. I mean, how many billion-dollar movies can you put out in a year?
Exactly. At some point, it's going to start falling away.
Look at the companies that are backing it. Warner Brothers, Disney. These are big names. They're not going to be scared to invest the money in it. If you look at Disney, a couple years ago, Disney decided they really wanted a sci-fi action franchise. So they made Tron Legacy, which didn't do that well in the box office, but they didn't give up. They went ahead and got the rights to Star Wars because they wanted to have that sort of niche market cornered. And they just went and spent the money and did it. So I don't think they're necessarily going to be super discouraged if they get a couple underperformers. They can afford it.
True. So if the superhero replaced urban fantasy, what's going to be the next thing to come up?
Robots.
Well, robots. Robots. If you have
Zombies.
the answer to that. No, zombies, I think, has reached its tipping point as well.
Yeah,
Zombies.
it's all in with the urban fantasy stuff.
Yeah, I think zombies...
It's kind of tapering off.
There are so many other movies because Walking Dead has done so well, and I think Walking Dead does have a future and will continue doing well because it's so well written, the comic books and the TV show. And let's see how the spinoff does. I give it maybe a season and a half without seeing it. Who knows? It might be great. But anything else, more zombie movies and stuff, people are going to get tired of and they'll fall off unless something really amazing comes on. But you've already got the A-lister with Walking Dead, so...
Actually, I kind of wonder if it's more sword and sorcery fantasy, because we've got Game of Thrones right now. Outlander, I think, is doing pretty well. I don't know.
It's always cyclical. Like, if it's one thing, it's another, but... Yeah.
As we've been sort of talking about superhero TV shows, we left out Netflix doing 4 of them coming up. Daredevil, right. Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and they're going to do Defenders miniseries, bringing them all together. Yeah, well, yeah. So right there, they're all in, and they're all in for the next 10, 15 years with this stuff.
And it's exhausting.
And there's going to be a million GonnaGeek podcasts probably covering all of them.
Right, we're going to have a podcast about everything. Don't you guys worry.
Don't worry
about it. You'll be able to find us talking. And you know what? We are our own version of Chris Hardwick after shows.
That's right.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of shows, wait, which one were we talking about?
Flash. That's the one.
You want to talk about the Flash?
Maybe just a little bit.
I got one thing to say about the Flash. Don't run angry.
Don't run angry.
So Barry breaks his hand on Girder, and their brilliant plan to beat him next time is to punch him harder.
I know. I have such a problem with that. I'm like, why doesn't Barry run with, I don't know, a steel pole in his hand and hit him?
Why doesn't he get a diamond or something, or a blowtorch?
Something that he's got that he can control moving really fast. But I'm like, I would have taken like something metal or hard and gone running at that speed with an object so that I wouldn't have to break my hand again.
He just needs a strap-on of some kind that he can use to...
It's hard to... Well, I just said it's hard. That's wrong. But it's difficult for his legs to move back and forth because of the friction.
Really creates a balance issue.
Yeah. There's a lot of flopping that goes back and forth, and you don't want that.
Well, he's already got the leather. He's going to get a reputation.
That's what I was trying to figure out, too, was if he's just going to run as fast as he can and punch the guy. Like, I'm like, and then they're doing the simulation, and they're like, well, it could work. Or he could just, like, explode into a little glitter cloud. And I was like, I don't know if they've thought this through, but I have to give them props for coming up with the Rock'em Sock'em robot training device.
That was funny. You knocked my block off.
Exactly.
So he had to break the sound barrier and go faster than Mach 1 with the sonic boom, breaking everyone's damn windows along the way. I mean, that's expensive.
Yeah, and insurance does not cover that.
No, active flash? That's not on your insurance.
Damage due to metahuman.
Well, that's how he gets everyone to believe in him, is that he just goes around breaking their windows. See, I'm the Flash. I'm real.
I feel like we've got to get at some point a storyline about some new insurance company in town offering riders for your insurance plan to cover, metahuman damage.
Or just transparent aluminum really becomes big.
That Star Trek.
Doesn't exist yet.
I have a science-y nitpick with the running faster than the speed of sound creating a sonic boom.
Okay.
And it's really my only nitpick from this episode, which is after he breaks the sound barrier and creates the sonic boom, the guy hears it and turns around before the Flash comes into the hallway and punches him.
Right, and he's traveling faster than the speed of sound, so the boom shouldn't get there before him.
It should come after him, after he punches the guy.
Like he should feel it, then hear it.
Yes, exactly. I just want to make that distinction because when you talk about going faster than the speed of sound, the sound of the thing that you are doing cannot get there before you do.
And that actually would have worked really well. Like, he didn't have time to turn himself into metal because he didn't know it was coming.
Right, and he just gets punched in the face.
And that's how Barry didn't break his hand.
And then you hear ba-boom. They do it all slow-mo, like Matrix style, which I did like that you saw him ducking to avoid stuff and doing the Matrix move. That was cool.
Yep.
More bullet time. All right, that was seriously though my only nitpick.
Supersonic punch, baby, woo!
No, I've got a nitpick. I've got a little bit of timing issue nitpick. So Joe invites Wells out to the bar to have a chat, and they're both clearly drinking. They're like having bourbon or scotch or drinking whiskey there, and they're drinking, and he's trying to get him to fess up to information that he thinks he knows that he's only holding on to. And the next time we see Joe, because it happens the same day, he's at the police station. So he's been drinking on the job, is what I'm saying.
Didn't he have just one drink, though?
No, it looked like he had a couple of them at least. Still, the man's carrying a gun.
He's fine.
I'm just saying. I don't want to be... Hey, I'm just saying. Not that I'm a Boy Scout myself, but,
He's fine.
He's in Central City. They all have a swig.
Right. But he gives him a bottle of scotch, I think. Like 16-year-old scotch.
Yeah.
Right.
He brings as an apology gift.
As an apology gift.
Yeah.
Which he shouldn't apologize, because Wells is totally up to something.
Oh, and bad. Something bad.
Yeah.
Something smells awful. Oh, yeah, Fartman was here.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So who else knows that he's investigating this crime to show up at his house and put the stop or else knife picture of his daughter up there?
No.
Exactly.
That's why I think it's Wells. That's why I'm like, it's Wells. Or Wells sent someone over there.
Yeah. Or because Wells knows, Grodd knows, and Grodd sent somebody.
There you go. Now you're thinking with your noggin.
I think it was Wells.
I do too. I don't trust him.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know that he's good or bad, but I don't trust him.
Is he evil or evil?
You mean with your pinky up at the corner of your mouth?
Exactly.
Evil. $1 billion. That movie I've seen.
Yes. Good reference. That's an Austin Powers reference.
Sharks with frickin' lasers.
Thank you for defining the references that we make.
I just thought someone should. Okay, so other stuff in this episode, punching a hole in a punching bag. That was cool. Running faster than the speed of sound. Didn't I say a couple podcasts back that I'm like, oh, I want to see him run up a building and run across water? And
Right, they're checking it off the list.
yeah, they're just going one by one, boom, boom, boom. He did the sparkly eyes again.
Podcast.
They're big fans.
I hope so. I wish they'd come on so we could talk about it. Hit us up at
That'd be
Crimson
brilliant.
Podcast.
So, at the beginning of the episode, to go back a little bit, Cisco and Caitlin were talking about some sciencey stuff, and they're trying to calculate the average number of bugs Barry swallows in a day of running.
That was funny.
Well, he has to make up for the protein somehow.
Right.
I was just going to say, it's all protein.
Yeah, so that's how he supplements.
Exactly. They should show him, like, brushing his teeth every time he finishes a run.
Oh. Well, he probably does. You just don't see it because it's so fast.
Exactly.
So fast.
Wiping his face. Dead animals on dead animals. Look, he hit a deer.
Roadkill.
Ooh.
Oh.
They should show him just tripping sometime, and then he goes back like a mile, and there's a dead squirrel in the road.
Oh.
Oh, squirrel.
Squirrel girl.
It's a different universe, dude.
Right.
Oh, so at the end of the episode, they put his bully in a cage, and he's just like, haha, I caught you. Remember me? Remember me, Barry Allen? Remember me?
Let me show you my secret identity. Right.
Gee, I wonder if this guy's going to escape.
He wants to tell him who beat him. He wants him to know who beat him.
Exactly. That's his booyah moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you would have all done the same thing.
He was in Pod 52.
Oh, was he in Pod 52?
Oh, I didn't even
Pod
notice
52 again.
Nice.
Did not notice that. But the thing that did go through my mind is that they put him in this glass box and put him away, and I'm like, There's no food. There's no toilet. There's no place to sit down. How long is he supposed to last in this thing? Are they going to freeze him? Is he just going to rust? I mean, did they put in a can of DW-40 for him? I mean, what's going on?
They bring him a bucket full of food, and then he just gets to fill it and swap it out.
Oh, I hope they wash the bucket. Do you think for a wreck he gets to hang out with Fart Man? They're like, okay, time to go to the yard. And he's like, what's this green cloud? And Fart Man is like, how come you're made out of metal? They're like, I don't know.
Well, and the fart causes him to start corroding.
Right. And there's no escaping Fart Man because it's got to be an airtight seal. Otherwise, he'd get out.
Yep.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know what their plan is for their supervillain prison. I don't think they've thought it out very well.
The pipeline.
No, because there's going to be, as we discussed last week, there's going to be a prison break, and they're going to go, dope!
Well, this guy, Tony Woodward, Girder, he becomes one of the rogues, which is the supervillain team the Ice Guy was putting together.
Right. Oh, and did you guys notice that there was a mention of Fire Guy? Iris talked about him.
You mean Burning Man?
No, just a guy on fire.
A guy on fire that doesn't burn, which is going to end up being
Firestorm.
Firestorm.
Ronnie.
No, I don't think it's going to be Ronnie.
No, because I don't think he's out and about yet. I think it's probably the other guy.
Yeah, it's the
one
guy.
that he Well, no, because that guy just got a fire gun.
Yeah. Fire Guy is Ronnie.
I don't think it is, though, because I think Ronnie is still, like, Dr. Manhattaning himself back together down in the pipeline.
Yeah, that's why
I
people
agree.
have only... I don't think he's down in the pipeline. I think he blew up through the clouds. Remember, they had to vent it? They had to vent whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
So he's out in the city, and there's just random sightings. Like you said, he's just appearing randomly as fire. And people are like, hey, man, are you okay? And he's just like, I'm the fire guy. And burning. It burns when I pee, and it burns when I do everything else.
See you, doctor. So you guys think that Ronnie is Firestorm, not Wentworth Miller's brother?
He is Firestorm.
Right.
Wentworth Miller's brother is somebody different. He has a different name. I want to say Pyro, but that's Marvel.
Yeah, that's not right.
It's like the difference between Pyro and the Human Torch, if you understand.
Well, okay, yeah, but maybe that's who I'm thinking she's referencing then.
Is that
this guy who sets? Yeah, it's a guy who sets himself on fire but doesn't burn.
Super Dave.
Maybe. I don't remember. It's a deep cut.
So that's what I'm saying. He's running around, and he'll show up. Like, I don't think they're gonna like bring him in as like a villain of the week. I think they're gonna like set him up to be just like somebody out there.
Yeah.
Because if there's already like rumors of him being around, it's a cool way to bring it in.
I'll give you that.
Like if he just showed up in the break room and like set all the newspapers on fire, they'd be like, "What?" And then he disappears.
Okay, so Barry and Iris are talking in the cafe at the end, and he just shows up and disappears in a flash.
A what?
A flash? Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
I like that name. Because he runs around in a trench coat and nothing else. Showing off. Say hello to my little friend.
So, do we definitely think that was the reverse flash at the end with Joe?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because when he slowed down, you could almost see his face, but you could see that he was wearing yellow.
It's the man in yellow. The man in the yellow suit.
His streaks are red.
The streaks are red. Well, with Barry, the streaks are
yellow.
They keep calling him the red streaks, but the streaks are actually yellow.
Yeah.
Right.
Not brown.
Or they're gold colored, not brown.
The ones we see aren't brown.
The reverse flash is because he's the reverse of everything. He's a reverse color. He makes a reverse streak. He runs backwards. Says hello when he leaves, goodbye when he comes. It's the backwards bizarro world.
Oh, Wentworth Miller's brother is Heatwave.
Heatwave, okay.
Heatwave.
So he just has a fire gun. He himself is not on fire.
Oh, okay.
Pyro, Human Torch.
Right, but we should clarify that he's Wentworth Miller's brother from Prison Break.
Prison Break, right.
Right.
His brother from another show.
He was also the big bad vampire in Blade 3.
Oh.
I do not remember Blade 3 at all. Like, I know I saw it, but I remember absolutely nothing about it.
You know who was in Blade 1?
Who?
Donald Logue, a.k.a. Harvey Bullock on Gotham.
I haven't seen a Blade movie in so long.
There you go.
I gotta watch that again.
He also played John Doe in the show John Doe.
Oh, that's right. He did. Which I got into for like 4 episodes, and then it was going nowhere. I was like, yeah, then I'm done. And apparently so did everybody else, because they canceled it pretty soon thereafter.
Yep. See, I watched it when it was on, like, there was a marathon on the Sci-Fi Channel one day, back when it was still the Sci-Fi Channel.
And that's Siffy?
Right. I watched like 10 episodes in a row, and I saw the cliffhanger that it ended on.
What was it? Who is he? Like somebody's long-lost son or something?
I don't know, but then the guy who had been his friend the whole time turned out to be the bad guy, and that's the cliffhanger, as you find that out. It's like, oh.
Really?
Yep.
You had to go through 10 episodes to find that out? Big deal. Boring.
Ironically, John Doe just couldn't figure out what it was supposed to be, who it was. Just couldn't figure it out. So, overall, what did you guys think of this episode in the scheme of things so far with The Flash?
I liked it. I like that they keep building on his powers every episode in a realistic way.
Yeah.
Well, as realistic as, it can be. I'm enjoying it a lot.
I really liked it. I thought it was one of the better episodes of the season. I think it's building on itself. It's not clarifying, but it's making the relationships more complex and more three-dimensional. The characters are becoming more interesting. I really enjoyed it. It was great.
What do you think about it, Lobster?
I still want him to not have a reason to figure out a reason for using his power a certain way, but have him just be like, hey, I wonder what would happen if I did this, and then like phase through a wall or something. Or if he's just like leaning on a wall and he's like, I'm really mad, and he just starts vibrating and just like falls through the wall accidentally.
No, you know what would be even better? Is Cisco's like, okay, I've got this theory that you should be able to vibrate yourself through walls. So Barry runs at a wall and just bounces off of it.
Like platform 9 3/4.
We might need to tweak this a little bit.
Yeah. I would like maybe a couple accidental discoveries of applications for his power, but
where it's not trying to beat the villain of the week, where he's just playing around with his powers.
Yeah, because eventually they're going to run out of stuff that he can do.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm not hung up on it. I'm all right with it. But although, I want to ask, was there anything special about Cisco's t-shirts? Because now I'm obsessed with watching his t-shirts.
Oh, I forgot to pay attention to his t-shirt this episode.
It was just kind of a stylized Vitruvian man.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think there was anything special about it, and it was a long sleeve tee as opposed to short sleeve tee with a hoodie, which is what he normally wears. But
right. Well, it's getting close to winter in Central City.
I guess so.
Winter is coming.
So.
We had a big winter storm this week, so they played off that.
Right. But yeah, I mean, this episode to me fits well in the established franchise. Everything that they're doing is moving the show forward with purpose.
I mean, we've got one more episode next week, then we get the big crossover the week after that, and then the week after that is the mid-season finale.
The man in the
So we're really
suit.
driving towards the end at this point.
Yep.
And this mid-season finale is the end of their original run of shows before they got picked up for the back half of the season.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to end up looking at the first couple episodes in this back half of the season are going to be kind of lame because we're going to have to produce those really fast to put them out there, and then it'll pick up steam after that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be lame. I mean, I think...
Yeah, I mean, even if they were expecting this to be kind of the end of possibly a short season, they probably still had an idea of where they were supposed to be going next, and it could be good.
I always give everything like the Lost trope, because Lost... ABC only bought Lost for a certain amount of episodes, and then it became a huge hit, and they turned to the producers and were like, okay, 12 more episodes. And the first 3 or 4 episodes right after the pickup were horrible.
Yeah.
And then it started picking up again.
Which episodes was that?
I think it's when they brought in Nikki and Paolo.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was not good.
Where we all wanted them to die. And we were so happy to see them get such an unceremonious death.
I like that that's a trope now, the Nikki and Paolo.
Yeah.
Nikki and Paolo. We hate them. Kill them off. Bury them. No, they don't even kill them off.
Bury them alive.
Bury them alive.
Yep. I would like to see Flash do maybe a flashback. I mean, I know they've been working flashbacks in each episode, but I don't know if they do bring in the time travel aspect of the series, maybe that could be something they could do. If they needed a filler episode, they could just do a flashback episode.
What would they flash back to, though?
I don't know. I still think the period while Barry is in the coma, right after that happens, would be interesting to see.
Actually, flashbacks to Wells, either during that time or even before that, as he's developing his plans for the accelerator. That could be good.
Agreed.
That would be cool.
Which we'll probably get that. As soon as they reveal him as whatever he is going to be, we'll get an origin story for him.
Yeah. I look forward to it.
What really happened to his wife.
Grodd killed her.
Well, remember, we found out that he was in Maryland with his wife, and all crap happened, and he left, and that's why he ended up in Central City.
She was Grodd.
Right before Nora died is when he showed up in Central City.
Right.
And there's no such thing as a coincidence in comic books.
Nope. What if she was Grodd?
Ooh.
Oh, maybe her brain got implanted in Grodd. Or he, mapped her brain onto Grodd.
Ooh.
Which is why he didn't want Eiling torturing Grodd.
That's right.
Now it all makes sense.
Looking out for the ladies.
So what are your final thoughts on this week's episode?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good. It was super good.
What are you guys looking forward to next week?
The power going out.
Power outage.
So this is about his power, not the power,
I
right?
would assume so, yes.
Although when the man in the yellow suit shows up, the lights do go out.
Do they? Oh, yeah, they did in this episode.
Well, that's because he goes around turning off lights really fast.
Oh, yeah, he just turns them out.
He's he turns them on when he leaves. He's conscientious that way. I have one last thought, and I said it earlier. Don't run angry.
Don't run angry.
That's all I have to say.
If you're going to run at something faster than the speed of sound, make sure you're going exactly the right speed so you don't turn into a cloud of glitter.
All right, this has been Crimson Comet Episode 7. Join us next week as we discuss The Flash Season 1, Episode 7, Power Outage. Until then, I'm Haley.
I'm Lobster.
I'm Rum Daddy.
Bye.
See ya.
Adios.
Thanks for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, you can find all of our contact information at crimsoncometpodcast.com. Find us on Twitter at Crimson Podcast or Facebook at facebook.com/Crimson Comet Podcast. Leave us a voicemail at 423-FLASH53. That's 423-352-7453. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent GonnaGeek. The podcast is not affiliated with DC Comics, Warner Brothers, or the CW. No infringement is intended. The music heard is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com.
What's up?
Want to do a podcast?
Tonight?
Well, since we're all here.
I guess I'm not doing anything else.
Look at that. Segways, bitch.
Jesus Christ in a chicken basket.
I do not like this Screen Rant headline.
What?
Tom Cruise for Highlander reboot.
That sounds terrible.
He is immortal.
This is true.
He has inside him blood of kings.
And you're the glue.
I am the glue.
You are
I'm sticky. I'm just like a weird white color.
You don't want to get any of it on you.
You're Gorilla Glue.
I'm Gorilla Grodd.
Welcome to episode 7. Oh, fuck. I can't even read. Good job. Take 2.
Doi.
Well, you blew it. Take 3.